Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a great year and a great week. So here we come into the final couple months of the year, and we're in one of the biggest earnings weeks of the year so far. It's all about big tech. It really kicks off tonight. So I want to start off with the trade I think we should all be paying attention to, and that is McDonald's. And the reason I'm going to start off with that is McDonald's reported this morning. The report was decent. It looks like the whole E. coli thing is done, but you also hear their sales are pretty good. International sales, not so much, but you have a big gap to trade against now. Now, I'll tell you, I'm already snuck into some November 305 calls here earlier today, but I'm watching this, and I think this is a trade we should all be putting on our radar because this was at an all-time high coming into earnings. It came down, it was beaten up just before this, right, with the E. coli scare. But if this is real, this is a nice little name to be keeping an eye on here to see if it can run back up. And ultimately to me, this is a name that should be just fine, although I do not like how it's trading here currently today and coming back down. I would look for and wait for it to get into that gap that starts right around the 303 area. And I want to give you another idea to watch and a name to keep your eye on as we move forward, and that's Tesla. So what you see here with Tesla is, what they call a power earnings gap. And this is in my opinion, this is a change in character on the name. You have this big gap and go in the name that's run up and traded the hell out of it on earnings the day after earnings in the next couple of days here. And I got out of my calls yesterday, just off the highs on yesterday morning on that, figuring it was due for a reversal as it just taken out the 52-week high. When you look at this gap is untouched even on earnings day, and now you're going to a little bit digestion. And you see the 8-day moving average, all the way down here, 247. What you're looking for is for this to do a catch-up play. You're looking for, Tesla to come in, the 8-day to come up, and once they reconnect, that would be a potential buy trigger. If it holds the 8-day, that's your buy signal. You buy it there. Now, keep in mind, the market has to be holding up, right? And we do have some things next week that could affect the market. For number one, we have the election. Number two, we have the Fed decision next Wednesday. But if the market holds in just fine and wants to rally, I would keep Tesla on my radar there. And if you want to know how far it can go, you got to go over and look at a weekly chart on this one. And my opinion, and that's all it is my opinion. Oops, hold a second there. Okay, my opinion on this one is that Tesla wants to go up and test that 300 area. And here's my thought process. It came up here, it got into this 273 area here. And, if you look at the levels, 280 is your next level, and then 300. And if you look at this is just kind of how it steps, right? This candle right here becomes your control candle on the monthly. This is going back quite a ways at 280. And then above that, this candle becomes your control candle at 300. So I was trading the December 300s for the last couple of days, no longer in them. But now I will be looking at the December 300s or maybe the 320s again once we get a buy signal on that. So I just want to call your attention to both of these trades. I think these are some great ideas out there and names you should be keeping an eye on. One more thing I want to point out, when you look at Tesla here on the daily and you see this move, it follows other names that have had big earnings wins. So if you look at a name like Netflix, similar type move, big move up on this gap, get a couple day run out of it, then it comes down, goes sideways, it's reconnected and holding the 8-day, right? And this is what we tend to see. Taiwan Semi, kind of similar, except it gave it all back because it had some news here in the process. So if you look how it did, it had that big move up, came down, connect with the 8-day, moved up, but then you had this big gap down after they found out that their chips were showing up in Huawei phones and China phones, their smartphones. So that one got beaten up a little bit. So now we'll keep an eye on this here, but I like it, the fact it's holding in. I like it back above this 200 area. So unless you guys have questions on those names, why don't you guys start putting out some symbols out there? Hey, Sam, I see TTMI, and we start going over them as we go here forward. Love to give your symbols a look. You guys tell me what you want me to look at. TTMI. Don't know a lot about this name. The first thing, it doesn't do a lot of volume. It's a low volume name. So to me, this is more of an investment than a trader, Sam. But that's fine. I don't know much about it, except I can tell you right now, when I look at this right off the top of my head, there is a downtrend right here. I can see it right away. So you could actually wedge it if you want to, like this. So you have a nice little wedge pattern here that's developed on this one. Can see that really quickly on this one. Uh, if you're not in it now, I would wait for a break of it or confirmed. I'd also make sure I knew when earnings were. But I'd like it for a move above that one to go higher on that one. If it breaks the wedge to the upside, move back to that 22.75. If it breaks to the downside, see if it tags the 200-day. This is where it held in last time. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Nice look there. SoFi reported this morning. SoFi is one of those funny companies. In my trading room, we talked about it yesterday. One of the guys there, Steven, said it always dumps on earnings no matter what. Well, sure enough, guess what? It dumped on earnings this morning. There was nothing I saw wrong with that report. I did not have a chance to listen to the conference call, but it looked like a fine report. It was up at 12, just missed 12. I think it hit 11.99 in the pre-market this morning, and then it dropped down and it came all the way down and bounced off the 21-day at 977. Janet, something probably going on here too is it's front ran this move, right? So you see on SoFi, it left a gap, open gap below here. We front ran this move here and we ran it up to 1120. I like SoFi. I think long term, they're a good company personally. Um, you know, this whole student loan thing has been a massive problem for them, but they are a disruptor. They are changing how people do banking, and that's a good thing. So for me, if it can get back above this 1130 area, go to a weekly chart, okay? If it can get back above the recent highs here, your next candle right here is at 1170, and then you look up into here and your big level comes up here at 13. 13 is where we based, and then the IPO high is 14. That would be my next target on that, on SoFi. So I'd be looking at those two levels if it started to push. Overall, you got to like this, a nice little curl coming off the lows. I like this one, especially on dips if you can get one, especially if we get some market weakness coming forward. TTD, Pat, you got it. TTD, this name is kind of a beast. Big name out there. You have this nice little upwards ascending channel on it. You can see this when you look at it very quickly. You can take it up like this if you want to. Nice little ascending channel. Draw it a little better. There we go. Right there, coming off that. Overall trading well. Now earnings are coming up. I think they're next week, but I'm not 100% sure. It's a nice chart. I believe this is, no, I don't know if it's an all-time high. It is split. I gotta go look. But a nice move here. It's right at the 52-week high going into earnings. And to me, this is all about what they say on earnings right now. But you had this big dip here in August, right? You had a head and shoulders pattern that triggered. We ran up, and we're basically riding the 8-day up higher, that gold line. I like that. Let's take a look at this on a weekly. Let's make smarter about this, shall we? There we go. Yep, it is an all-time high. So for me, if you like it, I put a stop in somewhere if you're in it, where you can deal with it. If you're not in it, I would try not to chase it here into earnings. It's run a bit, and I try to buy dips. But one of the things that's got to be good for them with all the online advertising in a presidential election, you got to assume that they're doing good. They will react to Meta tomorrow night. So, watch Meta, see what Meta says about advertising. Forget about Meta's going to also talk a lot about their R&D burn, but it's all about their forward guidance and for revenue on Meta, and that will affect TTD. Their forward guidance from there. DKS. I have not looked at that one in a while. No, Crocs got smacked down today. Get a drink. Okay. So it got beaten up on the Crocs report today, held the 200-day area and bounced off of it. That's typically a good sign. You want it to hold that. By the way, this is the first touch of the 200-day in almost a year, notable. And it's in a sideways. It's in a very large sideways channel here, right? So you can see basically from this 338 area, and you can use the low of 180 or maybe even better right here to be tighter at 191. So if it was me, I would not want it to break. Let's make this easy. This 191 area. And it needs to break out here above this 236 area. So you have a very sideways channel on this one. It's just stuck. So, it depends upon your time frame. It depends upon your cash reserves. I personally hate when a name goes sideways forever on end. I don't like to sit in it because it's not making me any money. But overall, the chart looks fine as long as it holds inside this channel. PayPal reported this morning. I thought the report was lackluster. If you want to look for what I liked in the report, their guidance was meh. What I did like is that, that they said that more companies are using buy now, pay later. More and more people are using buy now, pay later, and that they said the consumer remains robust going into the holiday season. Outside of that, their guidance was weak, and it wasn't great. And you have a gap down here that is holding. Now, it came all the way down and bounced off 77 pre-market. I know it hit 73 on the initial reaction to this. This is another name that's run. Now, remember, we're on a new CEO. They're trying to turn the corner, and they seem to be doing that. I don't know. There's a whole lot of optimism on PayPal. It's at a 52-week high going into earnings tonight, so it needed to have today. It was priced probably to perfection at this point. It needed a great report. The one thing that they've been constantly saying is that their turnaround is really going to be 2025. That 2024 was a year of getting everything set up for a move higher in 2025 in terms of getting their act back together. So if you like it long term, I love it. When you look at the weekly chart on it, you have to take this chart with a big grain of salt. Okay. I don't think we're going back to 310 on this. Okay. 310 was during the pandemic, but we've had a nice curl up here. And, here we are at the 52-week high, well off the lows from down around 50. Nice move there. 90 seems to be the next logical area to me, and then 100 for the next move. And then if it really starts to wake up, I start looking towards the 200-day on the weekly chart as your next spot. This, by the way, here is a big gap, right? So just understand there's a large gap sitting up here around the 129 area if it ever really gets going. Overall, though, this is a recovery story, a rebound story. I don't think they're ever getting back up to okay. I don't think anytime soon they're getting back up to these $300 level, but I think they're ripe for a bounce here and they can keep themselves back up towards that 100 area. Keep putting the symbols in, guys. Salesforce. The more you put in, the more we'll get through. We only got about 17 minutes left. So Salesforce here, waking back up. Nice move today off of here, pushing up higher. Held the 8-day, nice curl up here, and it's come up into this resistance zone. And what I mean by that is you have a lot of overhead supply through here where we traded quite a bit. You based here before you broke down on the left, that previous here. So it probably could be a little bit of tough sledding through here. Earnings are a couple weeks out yet. I think it's almost like 4 weeks out there yet or so. And if you can break back up here, the move 310 is your next big level to clear. And then your all-time high is up here at 315. So, you're not that far away from it anymore if it really wants to run. The 21-day has been support. So if you get a dip and it holds the 21-day, that would be a place to try it. Overall, not looking bad here at all. Nice curl to the chart. Took back this big weakness on its own and, not a bad looking chart. So let me tell you a little bit about myself real quick, then we'll get back to your names. I run a trading service called smartoptiontrading.com. We have a live trading room every day. We use Discord and I use Zoom. So I actually had to disconnect from Zoom to be in here. And what we do is we use option flow and technicals and news to find the trades and the setup of that day. So for today, it's quiet, but yesterday, last couple of days, we're all over Tesla that was smothered in flow, and give you some ideas of what we're looking at here. You can see here every day I'm posting this nonstop on Discord and then on private Twitter, what this slow is, what we're looking at, the alerts are on it. You can see on Friday, we're all over NVIDIA and Tesla with all those call alerts on both of those. So I run this trading service. We are every day. We start at 9 o'clock in the morning. We got early up for data days, and we stay late. So like the next couple of nights, we'll be trading earnings live. Like tonight, we'll be trading Google and AMD and Chipotle, among others, and we'll be staying probably until 4:30, 5 o'clock on Thursday for Apple earnings. So if you come to smartoptiontrading.com, you can see what I do there. But I'm going to put a special link in. I'm going to offer you guys a special here. I don't usually do specials. It's very rare. Usually it's $150 a month. I'm doing a special right now. If you want to come try us out and joining us in our room, it's $50 for the first month, then it reverts to 150 and you can cancel anytime. So if you want to join us, please click on that link below. Give us a try. We'd love to have you in there. And that's it. I want to spend my time with you guys, not on a sales pitch here. All right. DXCM, Barry. Ugh. I hope you're not in this from higher. Um, I don't know enough about them. I don't trade this name personally, but you have a massive gap down that was probably on earnings. That'd be my guess. And they're probably coming up on earnings again here very shortly. It doesn't do a tremendous amount of volume on average day. It does, usually about a million or two a day. I don't know enough about them, got to be honest with you, but I would be very careful with a chart like this because whatever's going on here, the high was all the way back at 165 back here, and it's come crashing back down in that big gap down here, and it's back into a multi-year low here. You have support. If it comes down, held it last time around this 65 area. If not, you can start looking towards 45 on the next report. I think it's really all about the next report. If it's a good report, there's a nice juicy gap here you can play. I love gap plays. One of my favorite trades to make. And the all edges, all gaps get filled eventually, unless they go away, the stock disappears. So I'd watch it for a move above 77.50. If you know the company and you understand its fundamentals and what it's about, and you want to start buying a little bit in here, you could, but I would probably wait until it got into that gap personally. QLVS. Hey, Sam. Nope. Is that QLYS? Guys like these small names. So again, Sam, this is an investment to me. This is not a tradable name. Anything that does under 1 million shares a day is not a tradable name, in my opinion. So it's okay as long as you're investing in it, which means you need to understand the company and understand what they do. In this case, I do not. Chart, again, kind of weak. Been trading here down at the 52-week low now for the last couple months. Look at the weekly chart. Come on. There we go. Overall, kind of other than this push up, kind of a sideways chart. Honestly, not a compelling trade to me. Doesn't mean it can't work, but if it was to lose this 120 area, I definitely would not want to be in it. You also have a downtrend here, depending on how you want to draw it. I like to connect as many spots as possible, so you can draw it like here, or if you want to even, you can trade it in tighter and draw it like this. You get the idea, though. You have a downtrend. If it was to take out that downtrend, I would be more wanting to be involved in it. Until then, I'd probably avoid this name. IoT. Another littler one, smaller, about 1 million day. So it's trading up at the all-time high here of 51. Okay. Recent, couple years ago, IPO. We'll put 46 area, 45, 40 area as support. You have an open gap, never got filled. That's nice, right? So only got tested once, never filled. So it's still showing strength. And you have a well-defined downtrend right here, depending upon how you want to draw it. I like to connect as many points as possible. So again, check when earnings are, but above today's high. I kind of like this name for a pushback up to retest the all-time high. Not a horrible looking chart at all. You have a little wedge pattern possibly developing here. Not a bad one. APP. This name has been on a tear. If I remember right, this one was a Investors Business Daily play, and that's what started this one on the run. This is an all-time high for it. I will tell you, I do not like chasing names up at an all-time high, Bill. But if you're in it, I would just immediately keep pushing your stock to where you can live with it. RSI is screaming overbought. However, you see when it goes green like this and it stays like that, I call this embedded overbought. We can get embedded oversold as well. It means the stock doesn't care that it's overbought and just continues to stay up there. And when you get a name like this, you stay with it until momentum dies. And right now, for the last 2 months, this one's been on a tear. It is embedded overbought. If you're not in it, at least try to get a dip to the 8-day. I wouldn't chase it up here. You can see here the 8-day is trading down here a little lower, right around this 161 area right now, and it's moving up. Everything's firing up. The other thing I'll show you here is that, to me anyway, it's getting a little extended here. That's the wrong one. Off of the 8-day, right? So, my trend line. All right. So you can see how far it is off the 8-day at this point. So for me, a little careful with this one. It's had a huge run. I'd be ringing the register here, taking some profits into it. I wouldn't be chasing it or starting a new position up here. Timus, what have we got? We got about 8 minutes. So okay, go ahead and put some more in there if you want. Um, this is, I believe, an all-time high for T-Mobile. It's one of the few of the carriers, cell carriers that are doing well, the cellular carriers. Now, they seem to be a better company right now than Verizon or AT&T. Again, look at this chart. Came out of a long consolidation pattern down here. So you had a big consolidation pattern, broke out, gave another consolidation pattern, broke out, gave another consolidation pattern, and broke out. Just had earnings. Earnings were okay. They were better than everybody else's. See if it goes into another sideways here after this big run. So I would watch for a sideways consolidation pattern here now between 235 and 217 and see if that holds. Overall, better looking name, much nicer looking than than Verizon or AT&T. What else, guys? If not, I'll put some symbols up I think you guys should be paying attention to. All right. While you guys are waiting, I want to talk about GM here. GM had a really nice report. Nice move up here to the 54 area, pull back to 51. The difference between GM and Ford, Ford is not hitting it out of the park. Their guidance is bad. GM just seems to be firing on all cylinders. Got up to 54. I like this one to continue higher. When it comes to the autos, they're doing better than most, above 54. And then you can see 64 is the 52-week high on that one. Close enough. I could work towards that. Bitcoin, I don't know. How do I get Bitcoin up on here? Bitcoin USD. Okay. I know it just broke out just now, running up here to 73. 74 area is the all-time high on it. This thing is strong. I'm still in coin. I just sold the last of my Monster earlier, late last week. I've been trading Monster a lot. I'm not a big fan of trading Bitcoin personally. It doesn't fit my style, G. But everybody's talking, and I don't understand it as well. This is going to break out. So if it takes out the high here, the high being low 73,802, I would look for this to try to run up higher. I prefer to trade names that are proxies for it. Come on. MSTR, I've been heavily involved in. MSTR all they do is they're a software company that constantly issues debt and buys Bitcoin with it. It's a better proxy than Bitcoin a lot, although I wouldn't be chasing it. You got to dip to the 8 day. I love it. Coin, which reports tomorrow night, I'd see what they have to say, is another great proxy for Bitcoin, breaking out here today, pushing above 225. I would like to play these more. If you like the miners, my room's been all over Hut. Nice move there, though, coming in today, and Clean Spark. These two have been better. What I see differently this time, though, is usually the miners lead, and this time they're trailing. So we'll see. What do we got time frame? About 5 minutes. Burl, retailer. I'm not a big retail guy, and if I'm going to play retail, I'd rather be in uh, Costco or Walmart, to be honest with you. But I don't have a hard opinion of this one. Under the 21 day until it retakes the 21 day, to me, there's not much to do with here. You do have a little bit of a head and shoulders topping pattern that's developed here. So I'd be a little careful with it, especially if it was to break the neckline, with the neckline being right there. So roughly around 250 on it. Speaking of Costco, great company, well managed, nice pattern up here holding in, is dipping down. Here's your 100-day next area of support. If it doesn't hold that, could see some selling, but this thing has been on a tear for a couple years, trading up near 1,000. It's just tired. You do have a downtrend here you can trade against as well on this one. So if you're looking carefully here, you have a nice, well-defined downtrend. If you're waiting for it, takes that up and moves. We can go from there. Guys, AMD, I don't know what to tell you. I own AMD stock. I'm probably going to sell some calls against it tonight as we go into the close. I love the name, but they report tonight. If you're asking me technically, I have no idea. If it pushes tonight and they finally hit it out of the park, and what I mean by that is they need to show revenue from AI and a guide up big, showing that they're actually selling their AI chips instead of say we have a lot of people evaluating our AI chips. Otherwise, I think they're in trouble. And what I mean by they're in trouble, I think they're just not going to go anywhere. So, you can watch it today and see what it wants to do. I know everybody wants to see this name, and I do too, but you have a uptrend right here. You have a downtrend right here. You have a tight little wedge. If it takes out 175, then it can run back to 185. Underneath this area, it could come all the way back down to 135. I'd be very careful trading with this one here. Wait to see what they say. It's all about guidance. They need to announce big guidance from AI sales. Otherwise, the market's going to have a nasty reaction. That's my 2 cents, and that's kind of how I feel about that. Last one, HWKN. Don't know this name. Chemical. Don't know them. Doesn't do much. Guessing in the oil field or something. I don't know anything about them. Don't really love the chart. You have an open gap sitting here on this one. May want to come down and test that and fill that. See how it handles that gap. See what it says for earnings. MACD shows a lot of everything coming out of it. RSI coming down. Don't know enough about him to say I want to be involved in that chart. Sorry. So guys, I want to leave you with some thoughts here. We are in an election cycle. We've had a huge run on the market. The SPY is just off of 2 all-time highs. I would not be surprised as after the election, we got some type of pullback a little bit in the markets, and then we set ourselves up for the year-end run. We've had a nice move. We've broken out recently. We're holding well. The Israeli-Iran conflict the Middle East seems to have been resolved. I think this is all some great stuff as we go into the end of this year. But at some point this year, we probably get a pullback, and it could be as soon as we know the outcome of the election or maybe shortly thereafter. I want to thank you guys all for joining me today. Yep, I will share that link one more time with you guys here before I run. This is a link. It's $50 for the first month and $150, cancel anytime. And love to have you and see you guys in there. David, thanks for having me on, guys. Thanks for having me here today, and I wish you guys all the best.